$250 now, $500 bid now, $250 now, $500 now, $750 bid now, $1,000 now, $1,250 now, $250. And good morning. And welcome to another edition of the Mike McGavel Jones Show, broadcasting live from Lincoln Center in Dallas, Texas, at the intersection of LBJ Freeway and the North Dallas Tollway. I'm Mike Jones. We're going to be with you for a few minutes and talk about a couple of different things that will be maybe interesting to you, something you haven't heard about or thought about, and in regard to selling something. And then we've got some hot topics and things of that nature, too. So we want to welcome you to the show. Good morning, Zach.
Morning, Mr. Jones. How are you?
I'm good.
I wanted to ask, you've been busy. I know we got a whole show to do here, but this weekend you were all over the place. I saw on Facebook you were live, you were here, you were there. I don't know where you were. What's going on? What have you been up to?
I like to stay busy.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
No, I left out on Monday, ended up in Wyoming, and we had a large construction and oil field equipment auction in Wyoming. That was with a friend of mine, Steve Taylor. He is the main man at Permian International Auctions. And Steve, actually, I've known Steve for a long time. We've done a lot of business together, but he also is a graduate of America's Auction Academy, and that's where we really got to spend some time together.
Oh, wow.
And he asked me to bring in United SCS and me principally to conduct the auction. And so I was in Wyoming on Wednesday. And then Thursday, in fact, every morning it was early. I was on an airplane going to the airport at 3:50, getting on a 5:30, 6 o'clock flight, and that was pretty much the week. I ended up in Duchesne, Utah. So I got up in Wyoming Thursday morning, flew out, went to Denver. Yeah. And Denver to Salt Lake, and then Salt Lake to Duchesne, and then Duchesne back, and all that within, I guess about 12 hours.
Good Lord.
Then got back here and picked back up and did some work here in Dallas, and to get ready for this week, because even though today is Columbus Day 2018,
yes,
it's a holiday for some, but as I mentioned to you before the show, looking at our parking lot at Lincoln Center, it doesn't look like much of a holiday for a lot of people. So I think a lot of people are working. It's great for the government workers and the kids that are out of school. But Columbus Day, Columbus Day is kind of a weird holiday anyway. It hasn't been 6 months ago. They were talking about trying to tear down the monument of Columbus in Columbus Circle in New York City. And now here we are again. We're having another Columbus Day. I don't know.
Yeah,
we're in a weird time.
It's a strange holiday. We are in a strange time. You're right. I did want to ask about your cool tie. What's going on over there? Well, what are those oil rigs?
Yeah. Well, actually, it's pump jacks.
Okay.
Pump jacks are synonymous with the oil industry, and Steve with Permian International.
Steve Taylor.
Yep, Steve Taylor. He passed these out to the team, and this is what all of our team members wore, was a Permian International shirt with a tie and pretty good look, and Navy jacket.
Sure.
And so I thought, well, you know what, in honor of Permian's inaugural auction that they had, and a big one it was.
Oh, yeah?
I'm telling you, I shouldn't give numbers, but I'll just tell you it's in the many millions of dollars, and I don't mean small millions, I mean big millions.
Big millions.
So there's a shout out to Steve and Ken and the guys that started that company from scratch, and I was real proud to be and honored to be the auctioneer for their first event, and look forward to many more. We have another auction I'm going to call for them in the first week of November, and we'll be talking more about that. But it's a 2-day auction out in Odessa. So,
2 days, wow.
Yeah, I'll be announcing something about that forthcoming. And all this stuff's coming up quick. I'm telling you, when you think about the shows we've done recently, we've got a lot of real estate coming up. I've got 2 or 3 big projects I'm working on we're going to talk about, because there's other people that have those types of properties. And we're in the fundraising season. Holy schmoly. It's been crazy, dude.
Yeah.
I got back on Friday, and I had something Friday. And then we had our Texans Canned Cars for Kids auction on Saturday morning, which we do live on Facebook at Mike McGavel Jones every Saturday. And so we did a couple of hundred cars. And then Saturday night, we did the auction for Grace. in Grapevine, Texas, which is a charitable group that takes care of women who are trying to regroup from divorce and being battered and things of that nature. And so they have a great location in Grapevine where they're a support for families and primarily women that are in need, to the point that we will provide them with housing, give them a fresh start, maybe help them get a car. They usually have children, and so we're there. It's family assistance, and so I'm real proud of my relationship with Grace, and the people there are just wonderful people. And I want to mention this too, the Thompson Group, Classic Chevrolet, they are the premier sponsor. They've been the premier sponsor for 11 years.
Yeah.
And Steve Thompson and his family, Greg and all those guys, are good friends of mine, close friends of mine. And they really stepped up this year to push the auction. And they had a record breaker for the live auction this year. And I didn't do it last year. Things just didn't work out, but I was back this year. So this is about the third or fourth year I've done it. And there was a lot of energy in the room. We had the folks from Channel 5, the anchors were there,
yeah.
Chris and those folks. And so anyway, it was a great weekend. It was a busy weekend, but it was a great weekend.
A lot of shout outs on the show here. I did want to ask, I know we're talking about a completely different topic, but real quick, we are coming up on the holiday season. Auctioneering. Is there like a seasonal thing to that? So you said fundraising season is coming up. Is that a...
Yeah,
I don't know. Is that a regular thing? Does it get busier during the holidays?
Well, we have windows of time.
Okay.
Now the windows are getting bigger, but also it depends on locale. So it's geographic. So in the Southwest, it's very easy to do fundraising year round. During the summer we'll have a few fundraisers. Normally, in the past, February is the kickoff season. So we would kick off February through probably mid to late May. And then maybe have an outlier the first week of June. Nothing usually in July or August. Usually it kicks back in at the end of September, which is pretty normal. So we kick back in the end of September. October, we're covered up with fundraisers. We're helping lots of private schools and things of that nature.
Spooky.
I was just looking at a list of the different ones, and there's a lot of theme stuff too. Like
Mm-hmm.
you'll have the Halloween parties and so they'll integrate an auction into a gala that has Halloween's becoming such a big deal. It's like the number one deal now.
It's a big holiday.
It's a big one. And then we go into November. There's a lot of fundraisers in November, and then we'll wrap that up. Usually by Thanksgiving we're about done, but then there's somebody, one or two, that'll decide, hey, you know what? Let's do a festive Christmas fundraising event. Usually it's a Christian-related event, and it'll usually be the first week of December. So that's kind of the season, All
right. Well, I know we're, like I said, I know we're talking about something completely different today. I think we've given the people on Facebook Live enough time to kind of hop in.
Yeah.
What's the hot topic today? What are we talking about?
Well, I tell you, and I have no opinions about anything, and you have to be careful about overstating your position, no matter what it is, because if I get on here and I say, hey, I'm a Republican, then all the Democrats are going, oh my God, that guy. And if I say I'm a Democrat, then all my Republican friends are going to go, oh no, he's gone left on us. And then so I'm gonna take a position, because I've been watching. I am pretty political. I do work the Hill.
Oh, here it comes.
At least once a year.
Everybody's getting ready to hit the comments. Go ahead. Sorry.
That's okay.
It's fine.
Good with
it's fine.
that.
Yeah.
So I actually got to spend a little time, a very short period of time, with Senator Cornyn during the Kavanaugh hearings.
John Cornyn. Yeah.
Yeah. Senator Cornyn from
Texas,
the senior senator, and whom I've known for quite a few years. And I was up there with the auctioneers. There was about 100 of us, maybe more, from the National Auctioneer Association. It was Capitol Hill Day. It's our time to walk the aisles and knock on doors and give them our position, because there's a lot of stuff going on.
Sure.
And so anyway, and I met with Cruz's people, but I also, those are folks that I've known for a long time. Then Sessions, he's running again this year, and he's hosted me before during inaugurations and things. Now, here's the key thing people need to know about me. I'm an independent.
Okay.
I'm an independent, and probably more libertarian than I am either of the two parties. However, my choices are a lot less when you get into the libertarian side of it. So I vote for the person, and I always have voted for the person. very rarely would vote a straight ticket.
Not a straight ticket man.
I'm not a straight ticket guy because let me tell you, there's some people on either side that I would just go, "Are you kidding? I don't even want to eat with that guy."
Well, that's the right attitude, right? You're not. I mean, if you're going in and voting straight ticket, you're doing it all wrong. Yeah, vote for who you believe in, right? Yeah.
Well, who I believe in, but what I believe in.
Yeah.
And I think that's the bigger piece of this. So number one, people are always asking me, "Well, what's your position on this and what's your position on that?" I guess because I'm doing this show and because I'm with lots of groups. I do work for an extreme large number of big fundraising groups, and I've worked for everybody in Dallas. I mean, I work for dogs and cats, and I work for kids, and I've St. Jude Children's Hospital and Scottish Rite, but also a lot of liberal causes as well. Because my friends are cross sectional. It's not just one gender. It's not just one lifestyle. I'm not. I have my own religious beliefs, but I also have beliefs that people should have the right to live their life.
Yeah,
and it's not my job to police the world. That's a God job.
That is awfully independent of you.
Well, that's the way I feel about it.
Well, good. Hey, you're honest.
So here's the deal. So Taylor Swift comes out today, right, and announces that she's going to start supporting political candidates.
Right. She's before this been politically silent. I think that's been her position.
Now Willie, I watched him on a show about 3 weeks ago, and he was on his bus and he was being interviewed by Mario out there in California. And he says, I don't get into politics. That's not really my thing. I don't really care. And then the next thing you know, Willie's on stage supporting a candidate for Senate of Texas. And
Willie Nelson.
And I'm like, well, and I'm going to go see Willie here in about a month. He's going to be in the area, and I've already got my tickets and stuff. I think it's interesting that these people take a position, but I don't listen to them or watch them because I want to know their position.
Right.
I really don't. I don't care anything about their positions, and I don't care who it is, liberal, conservative. And here's the interesting thing, Zach. If you go back to 40, 50 years ago, 60 years ago, 70 years ago,
sure,
Ronald Reagan was very political, and he was very political in Hollywood. He was a Democrat, then he turned Republican. They had all the communist hearings, Joe McCarthy, that whole era. People don't realize we've already been down this road. This whole Kavanaugh thing, everybody acts like this is so new and so unique, and I just find it interesting that the people today know so little about our history. They just don't get it. And I listened to something yesterday or the day before where they were saying like 80% of the kids today didn't know something so simple about who somebody was, and I'm just going, that's our educational system is so broke, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then the parents aren't teaching our kids anything. So they just hand them a telephone and say, "Hey, good luck. See ya. See you at the couch."
Sure.
And it just drives me crazy when we go into a restaurant and you look over at a table and every person at the table is on their phone. Not one person's talking to each other.
Oh man, yeah. That really does drive me wild. You're right. And I'm as bad about it as anybody else, but I don't know. I like to think I'm an adult. I have a driver's license. I can make decisions for myself. If I choose to route my brain, that's one thing. Man, you see parents giving their kids iPads. Oh. Look, I'm guilty too. I break the rule.
Sure. But then I catch myself and I set it to the side.
You talk about it on your podcast.
Yeah, that's right. I'm going to vent. I'm going to vent about it.
Yeah.
Well, that's what you can do that when you become of a certain age.
You can. Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Anyway, that's my position on that.
All right. But I like it.
But I do encourage, and you're going to hear this again before the midterm elections. I do care about what people's positions are, but I care more that we vote. It is more important today than ever. I just wish that we're not, no offense against Sweden or Switzerland.
Uh-oh.
We did not build this country by being non-aggressive. We had to be aggressive to survive World War II. This country would be very different today had Hitler continued to move forward and be able to accomplish the things that he was going to do.
Sure.
The world would be different. The world would be awful. And because of the men and women who fought for this country, who saved this country, and we got through D-Day and all the things that happened in Normandy, I just think, we have these holidays, we have these Veterans Days, we have Independence Day, and people enjoy the holidays, but they don't take advantage of them because they don't understand the history of them, and they need to understand why we have these holidays. Veterans Day. Let's November the 11th was Armistice Day. Well, if I asked 100 people what's Armistice Day, I probably couldn't get an answer.
Yeah,
and that's where we've gone, Zach. And I just wish more Americans would be Americans first and get their priorities straight and go down and vote, and not just during the general election. But it's so anemic, the voting record that we have in this country today. And I just encourage everyone to take a position, whether it's one I like or don't like. That's not the point. You just need to vote and get out the vote and do the right thing and be an American. You've been blessed to be in this country. You don't.
Let me jump in here. Like catch your breath. Yeah, I think people like to feel like we suddenly have our finger on the pulse of American politics. Everybody's talking about it, right? It's on talk shows. It's on late night shows. Entertainers are coming out and giving their positions. Everybody's got something to say. That's great. That's all great. I like feeling like the American public is turning inward and going, hold on a second, let's look at our system and see where we're at. But I mean, vote. None of it matters if you don't vote, right? The tweets don't count. The T-shirts don't count. The hats don't count. None of it matters if you're not standing in a ballot box actually voting. And that's the one thing that people are always bad at. North Korea has a higher voting record than us, and they have a dictatorship. Like, what are we doing? How can we not figure this out?
Well, we always say you can't complain if you don't do anything about it. If you don't put an effort forth to do something, or at least have a position, stand for something.
Right.
I mean, just anyway, that's my midterm election rant. But you'll hear it again, and
I like it.
I just want people to get involved, be a part of the system.
Coming alive on the mic. It's good stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So. You have a magazine up right now.
Yes.
And I want to just touch on that. So in a previous podcast, one of our shows, we had Barrett Bray. And Barrett Bray is the 2018 National Auctioneer Association International Auctioneer Champion. He did graduate from the America's Auction Academy in 2009.
Mm-hmm.
Nice guy. Probably one of the nicest guys I've met in a long, long time. Of course, I met him in 2009, but as you can imagine, when you have 30, 40, or 40-ish students, you don't really get to know people. And so until they have a reason to come back, maybe you meet them at a convention or something like that. But anyway, so Barrett, of course, once he won, and I was there the night that he won.
Yeah.
And actually have a great video that I need to share with you, and we will share with you. From the night that he won the contest, some fresh video that they just sent me from the National Auctioneer Association, and we'll air it another time. But Barrett, we did our show here in Dallas. He taught classes with us the rest of the day, and then he I guess he drove back to Oklahoma City where he lives, and then the next morning flew to Las Vegas for the Barrett Jackson Classic Car Auction. He has now been announced as one of the new announcers on television and during the auction itself. So,
wow.
So congratulations out to Barrett Bray, one of the new voices for the Barrett Jackson Classic Car Sale, and we're very proud of him. And looking forward to having him come back and teach in January when we have our January class at America's Auction Academy.
Yeah, we had him, John, just a couple weeks ago, I guess, is when he was on. Yeah, so go back and listen to that if you're curious about Mr. Bray. Great interview. Yeah.
So tell me, because I'm not a technical guy. If somebody wants to see these shows or go back and look at previous shows that we've done, how do they do that?
You can find these shows through a handful of ways. One, your favorite podcast distributor. We're on iTunes, Google Play. If you have an Android or an iPhone, you can find us exactly where you'd find your podcast. We're also on Spreaker, which is a popular podcast platform, and Stitcher if you're looking for something on desktop. You can also find us on Facebook and YouTube on our I should say podcast network, the Real News Communications Network. We're available there. You might be watching us live right now, and if you are, hi, how's it going? Good to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Sure.
So yeah, that's where you can find us currently. And really, what I need to figure out, Mr. Jones, is how to get this stuff on your channels. So I got to get with some of your people and get that sorted out. But until then, that's where you can find us.
Well, you get your people with my people.
All right.
And those people can make this work.
Yeah.
I want to talk about commercial, industrial, and auctions and brokerages too. We're not just an auction company, although we are one of the nation's largest, if not the nation's largest group of auctioneers with United Country Real Estate. And United SCS, Strategic Client Services, of course, is my division, which I started, I guess, 4 or 5 years ago, and have created quite a unique specialty group of folks that do specialty advertising. But I do want to talk about industrial sales, construction sales, heavy equipment, things that are kind of off the radar from the real estate end of what we do, because people look at us as a real estate company, and we are. We're a big real estate company.
Yeah.
And through our United real estate brands, we have about 700 offices between United Country Real Estate and United Real Estate. Of course, United Country being over 90 years old, we're going to be 100 years old before you know it. We don't look 100, but we are. And they're coast to coast in small town America and in a few larger cities. But United Real Estate, which of course our corporate headquarters is here in Dallas, in my offices here down the hall, and that is our urban brand. That's where Beverly Hills. We have D.C., Chicago, Dallas, Houston, Miami, all the bigger MSAs. So,
Yeah.
So that's the difference in the two companies. Okay, so we probably got somewhere around 8,000 people in these offices. But I want to talk specifically about opportunities and the tie today, and my friend Steve Taylor with Permian International.
Yes.
They are like a strategic partner with us right now, and I have been working with Steve now for about 3 years, and so I would like for you to go ahead and share the face of the last auction we just did. So I don't know if you have it up now or not, but anyway, this is the cover of the brochure from the auction we did on Wednesday in Rock Springs, Wyoming. Okay.
All right. Wednesday, October 3rd. You're right. Rock Springs, Wyoming. Look at that.
Feels like just a minute ago. Well, I'll tell you this. There were over 1,000 lots in that auction.
Really?
Yeah, we were going to do a 2-day sale. Then they opted to go to a 1-day sale. And so it started at 9 o'clock in the morning and went to about 9:30 at night. And I sold about probably 9 hours. 9 hours of that auction, which is the longest amount of auctioning I've done since 1982.
Whoa!
1982, in a little town called New Boston, Texas, we auctioned off a White's Auto Store, and it turned into an 18-hour straight auction without relief, without a backup auctioneer, because back then I was 23 and really didn't know as much as I know now. Today I'd have 2 backup auctioneers and a wheelchair for me.
Yeah.
So
shout yourself hoarse.
But anyway, so we survived this, and you actually could go to Facebook if you wanted to my Mike McGavel Jones page, or Mike Jones, I'm not sure, one or the other, and you could see the entire auction with a few cutoffs, because they go for 3 or 4 hours and then cut off. But most of the Rock Springs auction is on there, so if you get a chance, check it out. I like working with Steve because he's a patriot. He's a good Christian man. He's a family man. He loves horses. He has many sections of land in western Texas and over in New Mexico. He's got a great. He had his 91-year-old mother flown in by jet for that auction.
Aww.
And so she got to be at his inaugural sale, and that says a lot about him.
Yeah.
He was so inspired and excited to have his mother there, and that was very cool. So anyway,
91 years old.
91 years old, and let me tell you, getting around better than me.
It's almost as impressive as auctioning for 9 hours straight.
Well,
honestly.
It was cool to have her there, and then he had his 2 brothers there as well. So it was a moment for him.
Yeah.
Steve's not a young kid, but he's kind of in that stage of his life where he can afford to do whatever he wants to do, and that's awesome.
That's tremendous.
Anyway, yeah. So we love Steve and appreciate Ken, his partner, and so that was fun. We also sold the real estate at that auction too, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we sold 1,000 pieces or 1,000 lots. There was a lot of stuff.
There's a lot of stuff on that list down there. Yeah.
Now this auction, this was not a company liquidation, although it was for one company. They wanted to eliminate some assets. These assets were located at probably 5 or 6 7 different locations across the United States. There was stuff in Maryland. We had equipment in Wyoming, North Dakota, a lot of the hot spot areas where the oil field has been really happening and hitting big. And but we sold to people all over the world. We were we did an online auction also, so we were doing live and online. I'm taking online bids at the same time, and it'll pop up and it'll tell me where the people are. And so we were getting people in Saudi Arabia buying, all over the world, just all over the world. So that equipment that we sold, those 1,000 lots, literally went all over the United States and abroad. And you know what a great country you live in when you can. And this is one advantage to what today is like, is the fact that we can do 1,000 pieces of equipment and ship it all over the world, and be able to connect to people anywhere and everywhere, and do it on your phone. Or do it on your computer.
Sure.
Isn't that cool?
That is real cool. I did want to ask, and I know we only got about 5 or 10 minutes left. We're moving real fast through the show. I'm curious.
Yep.
How is that frustrating to folks who go to a live auction to have to compete with somebody online? Just a screen that's just popping up with. I mean, it's got to be great for the auction because you're driving stuff up, right? You're getting people energized.
I think in the beginning it probably was, but everybody has the reality that this is what it is. This is the new way to sell things. And I think if I'm sitting in the crowd, that's good. If I'm sitting in the crowd and I'm dealing with people online, I know that there's somebody really there. And I think as long as you realize it's legitimate, look, this was an absolute auction. We sold everything except the real estate to the highest bidder, absolute. The real estate had a reserve, and it brought 110% more, or about 100% more than what they had hoped to get for the real estate.
Wow.
So, and it's in the, kind of in the middle of nowhere. I mean, when you talk about Wyoming, I mean, you got to drive 3 hours to get anywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
So in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Anyway, so it was a great auction, and shout out to those guys, and I look forward to working with them in the future, and the fact that they took on all the Goliaths of the auction industry and the heavy equipment business, and knocked them out and got the deal, and everybody was there watching it happen. Even the guys that lost the deal were there to watch and take note of what the things were selling for, because we were getting a premium for things, and it was a home run for them. And that's what we want to do for all clients. Everybody that works with United SCS, we want that situation, and people should not be afraid to sell their very best items in one large auction, because we proved last Wednesday that we're the right partners for it, and between United SCS and Permian International, I think it's a great combination. And then of course we're handling the real estate, and that's a win-win for everybody. It's a marketing opportunity unlike hardly any out there.
And just listening to you talk about it now, it even sounds like it was kind of fun. But I don't
it really
know if
was
that actually
fun.
was.
Well, it was. Let me tell you something. In a day when online auctions are such a big deal, and online only, and to go to an auction where you have 200 or 300 people in the room and 200 or 300 or more online, you got 500 or 600 people bidding. That takes me back to the golden age where you always had 300 or 400 people at the auction. So it's great. I'm going to go through a few other auctions and things that we do in the commercial realm. You can show one right now. This was a 2-day live and online auction over in Fort Worth. This took place in June. It was a commercial roofing and contractor. As a little postcard there. I don't know if you can see it or not.
Yeah, I got it.
And there were some trucks, and there was a machine shop, fabrication shop. There was some real estate involved, and we did offer the real estate on that one. So anyway, that is typical of the kind of sales that we would do. And so that 2-day live and online auction, I won't spend a lot of time on it. I'm going to let Anna's working with us today. She's our Vanna White.
Our lovely Vanna White.
Vanna.
I don't have a camera for her, but yes.
Yeah. Well, she has great hands, and she's moving through this stuff for me. I want to show this brochure. This was from a 2-day online and live simulcast auction. This was a great auction.
Simulcast, that's that. Yeah.
Complete liquidation. This was a transformer manufacturing facility in Oregon, White City, I believe, Oregon, in the middle of nowhere here again. Sure. But when you have the online component, we have the ability to offer these assets. We do a lot of partnerships. So I mentioned Permian earlier. There's a company called Asset Control. I worked with Asset Control. I've worked with them for probably 25, 30 years. Got a really good friend down in Ponte Vedra, Florida. He and I have partnered on many, many deals. This particular one was he called me in and said, "Hey, let's do it." And it was a several $million deal, and the online bidders were a big part of this. But it doesn't matter what specialty equipment you have, we can sell it.
Yeah.
And we invite people to come to us. There's no obligation. If somebody wants to call me and say, "Hey, Mike, I've got a deal in Ponca City, Oklahoma, or I've got a deal in Napa Valley," we're in. We'll come look at it. We'll give you our thoughts, tell you what we think. And hey, if the property qualifies or the assets qualify for an auction, we'll do it. If it doesn't make sense, we'll pass it. I've made some mistakes in the past because I'm optimistic. I start believing what everybody tells me. But this was a great auction. You can go to the next one, Anna, if you want to.
All right. Well, what's up next? Yeah, I'm curious to see.
Let's flip.
Whoa, wow, nice. Yeah.
Let's flip.
Swaps right out.
Yeah. And so here, we can do that. That's okay. There you go.
Yeah.
This is one we did last year, June last year. This is in Bossier City, Louisiana. This was an absolute auction, Red River South Marina and Travel Center. We actually marketed this for about probably 3 or 4 months. We also, this was a bankruptcy situation.
Oh.
And so I had to testify in court for probably 6 or 7 hours on that one.
Oh, wow.
We worked with Bassmaster. That's on television. Everybody's familiar with the bass tournaments, and they have all kinds of big events and the Bassmaster Championship. We actually did a marketing deal with them and took over the front page of their website and had a banner ad on the front, and then also showed up at their Bassmaster tournaments. And we will go to whatever extremes we have to. We also hired the local Shreveport Bossier sportsman that's on all the TV channels. He came out and did our video. So and we've got some deals, and you can go to the next one if you want to.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just keep rolling through them if you want.
Anna, thanks again for joining us on the show. I apologize.
Anna's doing. Oh no, Anna loves it.
I should have given her a mic. That would have been, or a camera, or something.
I can tell you right now, Anna's got a great future in this. Vanna she's like hitting numbers and letters on the yeah.
Hey, we know who she is. She's a household name.
Well,
so
is
for what
Anna.
It's worth, yeah. Hey.
So here's the Tenney Silver Dollar Steakhouse. This is a historic steakhouse that Steve and I sold at auction January, about 2 years ago. Between what are those two places in New Mexico?
A rock and a hard place?
Well, Roswell and Ruidoso.
Yes.
And Ruidoso.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you're looking for cowboys and aliens, pretty much.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, we sold that, and that's a situation where the folks lived in Texas. They were divorced. They really wanted to just go ahead and eliminate this asset. He was an oil man and had sold his company, and so we went in and took it to auction. We ended up selling the liquor license for about $500,000. And
I was going to say, the liquor license is really something. I didn't know you could.
In New Mexico, it's a big deal because they don't issue new ones; they only sell existing. So, and it's for the county.
Huh.
So, if somebody wants a liquor license in that county, it was worth $500,000, and we sold it to a major, very well known Texas convenience store chain.
Huh.
So anyway,
you know what? You should tell me who that is after the show because I'm curious.
Yeah, I'll be happy to. Yeah, I'll be happy to.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right.
And so then here is another oil field related auction. This was a company called Drill Pro out in Idaho, in Nampa.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to show the variances of different places we go. So Wyoming, we're doing construction equipment and oil field equipment. Here's, again, Idaho. We're doing transformer operations in Oregon. And people don't realize that, I ran my own company for 27 years before I joined United Country. So, I was almost at retirement age when I joined United Country. And this is kind of like my second emergence in the industry. And I used to do a lot of industrial plants and equipment for Textron Finance and GE Capital. So, we were doing plant liquidations and asset liquidations from Buffalo, New York to Petaluma, California, Hornet missile plants.
Hornet missile plants.
Yeah.
Whoa, hold on. Don't bury the lead. Yeah, that's.
Yeah, I know. And Lycoming. So, when you go to the Little League World Series, there's a huge plant there called Lycoming. That's owned by Textron. They resurface and remanufacture engines for aircraft, Cessnas, and things like that. So,
oh, wow.
So anyway, there's another one. You can go to the next one if you want to.
Curious to see what's up next year.
Yeah, I know. Just like, wow.
Quite the, real quick, while I'm thinking about it,
Yeah.
you do this graphic design in-house, or is that the auctioneer that puts that on, or what is that?
All of our graphic design work is done in-house by an internal group called EMS. Enhanced Marketing Services is a division of United Country Real Estate, and so they are our marketing wing, and they're located in Kansas City. So
just good work out there, yeah.
Well, that was one of the things that when I joined United Country, and they were going like, why should we start an auction division?
Right.
Well, we want to be able to provide technology, marketing services, websites, and all that kind of. There's like 5 different things: education and national branding.
Yeah.
And so, if I'm an auctioneer, what are the things that I don't have time to jack with? Well, I'll tell you, it's all of those things.
Every one of those things.
All of
yes,
those things
absolutely.
are things that I wanted for my company, and it took me 10 years to come up with a good brochure to even put out, like a 3-panel brochure about who I am, what I do, and how I do it, because we didn't have the graphic design people back then.
Yeah.
And even if you had them, you didn't know who they were.
The right people in the right place.
Yeah. So this brochure here, this is a professional golfer's home in Illinois.
My God, look at that house.
We sold that house about, I don't know, what's the date on it? August of last year.
Yeah.
So about a year ago.
3 p.m.
She's a world champion golfer. Her husband had retired from managing one of the big golf associations. They were in their 80s, wanted to move to California, and so that home sat on what is called the General. The General being a major golf course, one of the top golf courses in Illinois.
Yeah.
And so anyway, this is really pretty cool. It's not very far from Iowa, but actually in Illinois, in Galena, and it was a gorgeous place. Place. Yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to show you that. So we work with professional golfers, professional football players, baseball players, basketball players, anyone with a trophy home. That's something that we would do with United SCS. Just real quick on this one, here was a cabinet manufacturing facility in Salt Lake City. Seems like we're doing a lot of work now in Idaho, Utah, New Mexico, Wyoming, Colorado. We actually have a gravel mining operation right now for sale. Now, it's not an auction. It is a traditional listing. It's a brokerage.
Yeah.
Mark Woodling, our vice president, who's going to join us on our next show, is going to talk about that opportunity. But it's a big deal. I mean, they provided a lot of the rock for the airports in Colorado, and so that would be another type thing
that is a
that
big
we
deal.
do.
Yeah.
And let's move to the next thing, Anna.
Let's see, what does she have
What's
next
Anna
over
got
there?
up her sleeve now? I wanted to show this. This is kind of unique. You're not going to see very many, if any, real estate companies in the United States have this. And so this is part of our United Real Estate Group. And we created a company there's a company called PRD in Australia. They have 175 residential offices. And in their offices, they do auction first. Auction first, and then they go traditional. So if they can't get it sold at auction, then it goes to a traditional listing, which is ultimately, in my opinion, what will happen in the United States. It may or may not be in my lifetime, but it's happened there. It's happening in other countries. It's happening in places like South Africa,
Okay.
Which I can share more about that, and I shared a little bit with you earlier. But we created a company called United PRD, and it's a kind of a joint venture operation. Our CEO of United Real Estate has just spent the last 6 months in Australia, and their strong suit is R&D, research and development, and finding buyers and finding sellers, and then accumulating information. And as you well know, information and statistics are one of the most important things that you can have in any industry today.
Yeah.
People are buying companies just to get their data. They don't really want the company. They just need the information. And I'll tell you a story about that, but I'm not going to tell you now. Remind me to tell you the story. Remind me to tell you the story about eBay.
All right, you got it.
And what eBay did about 10 years ago, maybe 12 years ago, to get more involved in the auction space, because a lot of people just don't realize it ever happened. But anyway, United PRD, that is actually a magazine. And Anna, if you can, hold that piece up.
You mind
and open it up?
That?
Yeah, just open it up and show them through the lens there. This is all in Chinese.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
Yeah, this is all in Chinese. And so it's Chinese. It's American headings, but Chinese as well. And so this is a piece. We actually were involved in an exposition in China where we were offering American properties. And we've done the same thing in Europe. So there's a couple of different magazines, but this is how intensive we are when it comes to marketing our properties with United Real Estate and United Country Real Estate. We're a lifestyle we're the largest lifestyle company in the world when it comes to land. So there, and you see on the back it says announcing United PRD International Real Estate Network's expansion into China.
Hey, you could read that all the way from across the table. Look at that.
Yeah, well, thank you, Key.
Solid vision.
Hey, Zach. Thank you, Key Whitman.
Hey, yeah. I love it.
Okay. All right. Let me show you one last thing, and then we'll call it a day on this show.
All right. One more thing.
So Anna, and this is important. You're going to hear about this next week in our next show.
Okay.
And this is a real estate liquidation. Everything's going to sell. Utah Land Rush. Great deals. We've got development lots, land, cabins, motels, inns, and it's over 120 properties. This is an absolute auction. This is an incredible deal, Zach.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk more with Mark Woodling on our next show. But if you've ever wanted to buy a lot in Utah or anywhere in the Southwest where it's a great place, I mean, it's only literally an hour or less, maybe a little bit more. It's close. It's an hour drive to Salt Lake City. Mm-hmm. So you've got a major airport an hour away. You've got a regional airport 30 miles away. And the website's there, www.utahlandrush.com. I'd like for folks to go to that site, check it out. This auction is coming up in about 3 weeks. UtahLandrush.com. I literally, Anna's got this down.
She's got it.
Anna, we're gonna get rid of Sajak, and I think you and I are going. We're going Hollywood.
We're going places.
So anyway, on this auction where I was last week in Duchesne, literally, when you drive through there, we have signs on half the buildings in that town, and so the hotel, motels. These are ready to occupy. We'll give the details in the next show, but I'm telling you, if you ever wanted to deal on a building lot in a subdivision that's well put together, it'd be a great place for somebody from the Northeast or the North, maybe some of the snowbirds that are looking for a place to land. It is gorgeous, and the views are phenomenal. I spent all day Thursday looking at those 120 properties. And, I mean, literally to the point where you have antelope and elk sitting in the yard, right?
Oh, wow.
And they get up and they pose for you like, okay, it's a photo op. And I took them. I'm like,
sure.
I mean, it looks like I went out looking for this guy and spent 3 weeks trying to do it, but no, he just gets up and poses. And
that's tremendous.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Huh.
Zach, anything else on today's show?
Well, God, I was going to say, I don't even have the means to purchase property in Utah, and you got me going on this. So, yeah, I want to find out more about this. Next show, we're going to talk about Utah?
We are.
All right. Yep. Next show with Mr. Mark Woodling, right? If we can get him in.
I bet we can get him in.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
He's pretty motivated. Anna, thank you for helping out today. Anna's.
Thank you, Anna.
Yes, she's awesome. Well, Zach, I think we're about ready to wrap it up. So
we'll get this music going.
We'll tell the folks back home that on behalf of everyone, it's a part of this one here at Lincoln Center in Dallas, Texas, the Mike McGavel Jones Show. Thank you for being with us, and we look forward to having you with us on our next show next Monday at 10 a.m. Thank you very much. God bless.